All right, folks, y'all know what it is. Welcome to Quest Group News Radio. I'm your host, Mr. D Quest. Now, don't forget to please hit that like button, share button, and subscribe button as you come in the building, folks. That way we could get these notifications out. Plus, it allows us to continue doing what we're doing on a daily basis. Now, you know how we do. We was running through some news articles, checking to see which story we're going to run through today. And lo and behold, we come through this story. A Texas man was sentenced to 50 years in prison for stealing $1.2 million worth of fajitas. Now hold on, let me say that again for those of y'all that didn't understand. Some idiot is doing 50 years in prison for stealing fajitas. You can't make this up, folks. Now, a Texas man who pled guilty to stealing more than $1.2 million of fajitas while acting as a public servant has been sentenced to 50 years in prison. Gilberto Escamilla, 53, was employed at the Darrell B. Hester Juvenile Detention Center in San Benito, Texas, until August 2017, when it was discovered that he had been placing orders for fajitas while using county funds and then selling them for his own profit since December 2008, according to court records. Now, the scheme unraveled last August after a delivery driver with Labatt Food Service phoned the detention center to give kitchen employees a heads up that an 800-pound delivery of fajitas had been delivered. Now, employees immediately thought the delivery to be suspicious since minors at the detention center are not served fajitas. However, the delivery driver insisted that he had been delivering fajitas to the detention center's kitchen for the past 9 years. This ultimately led to an investigation since Escamilla is the one that orders food for the juvenile facility. So after being investigated, fired, and arrested, Escamilla's house was searched by police who found packages of fajitas in his refrigerator and added up 9 years of thievery to equal up to more than $1.2 million in theft. During his guilty plea, the judge gave Escamilla 50 years in prison along with a $10,000 fine, plus he has to pay back the $1.2 million as well. Now, like I said, wow, folks, you can't make this up. First of all, let's talk about this, right? Let's rehash this for a minute. Now, first of all, some dude, right? Now, when I first read the story, I'm like, okay, how you get 50 years for stealing fajitas? Okay, but let's break that down real quick. Now, it says here, he was a public servant, a county employee working for a juvenile facility. Okay, so that's one thing. Then I was kind of like, all right, well, hold on. He is a public servant, so of course he's definitely going to get more time, which is understandable, right? And then I had to also think about it, 50 years for fajitas, but I had to also remember this dude didn't just steal fajitas to take home to the family, so they could have something to go with their meal. No, this dude made a business out of it, man. They saying that he ordered 1.2 million of fajitas over the course of 9 years, 1.2 mil, right? And he was selling them on the side. So I don't think he made 1.2 million off the hustle, but he ordered 1.2 million and probably sold them to different restaurants, maybe for half the price. So he probably made about $500,000, okay, out of the course of the 9 years, if he was just selling at half price off to different restaurants, He became the hookup, all right? Now, another thing, let's talk about this. What happened? Now, him and the delivery driver said he's been delivering these fajitas to the juvenile facility for 9 years. So what happened this day? Why wasn't Escamilla there on the day when that phone call came through? Why didn't that guy have Escamilla's cell phone number where he could have texted him and say, hey, Escamilla, the order's here for the facility. We'll drop it off later on this week or, whatever. So that was kind of confusing a little bit because for 9 years, you doing good, you never getting busted. And all of a sudden, this delivery driver, he's like, well, He's playing Good Samaritan now and giving other people the heads up. So I got to ask myself, maybe the delivery driver knew something was off. Maybe the delivery driver talked to one of the employees before and said, yeah, so y'all serve these guys fajitas? And maybe they like fajitas. Nah, we don't serve fajitas here. So then maybe the delivery driver thought to himself, well, hold on, I've been doing this, delivering these for a while. So let me sound the alarm real quick, just in case homeboy is doing something scandalous. Now, Escamilla, that's the thing, folks. People get greedy, okay? Now, you got your little side hustle. Let's say he got a family, and he was just trying to make a little extra side money for his family. First of all, that's not the way to do it. You don't steal from your employer because that's your bread and butter, all right? That's where you get your money to pay your rent. You get your money to send your kids to school. You get your money to pay your car note, okay, or your mortgage. So you never do nothing like that, okay? That's first things first. And second of all, it's like, where does the greed kick in to want to keep on doing this for 9 years? I mean, shoot, you still one time your stomach start hurting like, man, I hope I don't get caught. I hope I don't get caught. And this dude felt comfortable enough to do it for 9 years? Now, come on now. He deserved it. He deserved that arrest. I'm not going to lie. Okay, because it was a harmless crime as far as, how he was getting his money. He wasn't robbing banks or anything like that, but he's a county employee. Okay, and now he's stealing from the county, so that means people got to make that up. That 1.2 million got to come back some type of way. Now that leads us to the next thing. First of all, where's the oversight? And who else should be fired? Because unless dude ran the whole sector, I'm surprised that the warden or whoever's in charge of the facility didn't get the accountant to look at the books and say, where's our money going? Why in the world are we, every year, 1.2 million? That's like $100,000 a year. That's over $100,000 a year. For them 9 years, that's over $100,000 a year that the county was missing from that facility. And out of 9 years, now nobody looked at those books and say, hold on, how can we cut back on money? Well, what's this $100,000 for? So I don't know if Escamilla was in a position to act like he was ordering something else that they do serve rather than what he was actually ordering. So, but I'm definitely like, all right, if I run that facility, a couple of people getting fired because it's like we got this one dude scheming 1.2 million from us, and our whole business here is making sure that criminals pay. We run a juvenile detention center. Okay, so that's our whole thing. We're punishing people for making mistakes. We're punishing kids for doing wrong, okay, and for not taking accountability. But not one time nobody took accountability that they didn't do their job and that in the process they got schemed out of 1.2 million. So hopefully some heads rolled and some people lost their jobs behind that. Now, when those deliveries came in, I guess they was being delivered to the facility in some way, shape, or form. I guess Escamilla was able to sneak it out. So I don't know if he had them pull up to the loading dock and was like, yeah, just place them over here in that truck, or maybe they dropped it off on the loading dock and he had his own truck that he'll just slowly unload on. But with all those workers in the kitchen, I'm sure somebody had to see a pack of fajitas like, hey, when we start serving this, like, what's going on, So I wonder if it was other people on the scam maybe, and he just didn't roll on them, or if they just really didn't know, or maybe there was another delivery driver that was in on it, and he was helping out, making sure that he only delivered on the days Escamilla was there. I'm not really sure about that. Okay, now let's continue on. Now, they investigated and they found some packs of fajitas in his house and refrigerators. But when this guy called and said he had fajitas, he said he had 800 pounds of fajitas ready to be delivered. So now, I guess if you go and get a pack of fajitas, I guess a pack of fajitas, I don't know, weigh a half a pound or something like that. It shouldn't weigh that much, maybe a pound at most for a pack of fajitas that you get from the store. So 800 pounds, that's like 800 packs, you know what I mean? So, and then when you're ordering from certain facilities, usually you get some type of, once you're doing so much business with them, usually you get invoices. Okay. And it's usually, okay, we order this once a month, twice a month, or whatever. So those invoices was coming in. So this guy was doing a little bit more than being there to pick them up. No, he was forging paperwork. Okay. He was forging invoices. You know, he was doing electrical fraud as well. All right. So that's definitely a wild story right there. I'm like, was this dude on drugs? Was he just, trying to live a lavish lifestyle? I'm not sure, but you can't be in a juvenile facility and telling the kids that they got to do better and penalizing them for every little thing, but you out there doing the same thing. All right, so that's kind of like, so I'm definitely happy that the judge did give him some big time for that. But that brings me to this, 50 years now. Now, how are you going to give him 50 years, plus you charging him the 1.2 million back? So now he's got to pay back the 1.2 million. Well, how is he going to pay back that 1.2 million, people? I'd rather get the 1.2 million back than giving him the 50 years. I'd rather say, okay, you're going to do 10 years hard time, and after that, when you get out, whatever you make is going back to pay this 1.2 million. All right, because the dude's already 53 years old. So 50 years, that's 103 years. Even if he only does 50% of that, that's still 25. All right, 25 years. That means he'll be 78 when he gets out. Okay, ain't nobody going to be able to pay back no 1.2 mil. So I guess the judge just tacked that on as quid pro quo, like, okay, whatever. We don't expect the 1.2 million back. But yeah, just in case you hit the lotto when you get out, yeah, we want our 1.2 mil. All right, but 50 years also is kind of steep, folks, because it wasn't a harmless crime since the county has to cover that and county workers have to cover that and taxes have to cover that. But I've seen people get way less for doing home invasions, rapes and murders and all types of stuff. You know what I mean? How many people didn't watch the first 48? Now, when I watched the first 48, they got a first 48 Texas edition in like Harris County, where people, they then did home invasions charged with capital murder. They didn't home invaded people's houses. 2 or 3 people died. Okay, and out of the 5 defendants, maybe 4 of them only got like 30 years, 25 years. Okay, and these people was in there murdering people, folks. Okay, they were strong on robbing people, raping people, torturing people. And some of these dudes only got 25, 30 years. So 50 years is still a little bit steep, especially at the age of 53. You could have just gave him 20 years, and that way he'll be 73 when he gets out, and then he can at least make that restitution payment back some type of way. How, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I thought 50 years was a little bit steep, even though I understand, but Texas got some strange sentencing guidelines, because I don't mind when they give the death penalty or life in jail to people that actually did some real raunchy stuff, you know what I mean? But this slick little thievery, I mean, he could have robbed the bank for the 1.2 mil, and he would have only got maybe 10 years for robbing a bank. Okay, especially if he didn't use no guns. If he came in with a note, nobody got hurt, they handed him 1.2 million and he was out the door, he wouldn't have got 50 years. The federal government probably would have only gave him 25 years fed time. So Texas, sometimes their sentencing is like really weird out sometimes. Like there was a story where one lady got 5 years for voter fraud because she didn't know she couldn't vote. And we'll cover that story later. But yeah, Texas definitely got some weird sentencing guidelines sometimes. But shout out to when they do rush the death penalty for those that deserve it. But in this case, I don't think he deserved the 50 years. And if y'all think so, y'all could just drop that down in the comment section, and then we can probably discuss it down there. Now, okay, y'all know how we do it. Now we're going to take some quick questions and comments. We go around the web real quick, and we just pick the first 5 or so questions, and then we'll just run them down and then see what these people think, and then we give them our thoughts, and then that'll be that. Okay, first question. Hi, Quest, who was he selling that many fajitas to? To tell you the truth, Ma, I don't know. I'm thinking that he probably has some type of hookup with other stores, other fajita sellers. You know, maybe he had his local supermarkets. Maybe he had restaurants where he was just selling packs of fajitas at a discounted price. You know, maybe he was selling them on eBay or something. I do not know. But with all those fajitas, that's a lot of pounds of fajitas, okay, they be selling every year. So he definitely has some type of connection, some type of contacts that he was able to sell them to wholesale. All right, so I'm surprised they didn't charge those people, because those people probably knew what he was doing and that he was getting those fajitas through other means. So I definitely don't know who he was selling them to, but I'm glad they didn't get caught, because I don't want them doing 50 years too. You know, especially, okay, they got to hook up on fajitas. It's not like he was selling them crack cocaine or something like that. You know, they was just buying fajitas at a cheaper price. You know, the mob used to do it all the time. They, you know, steal meat, fur coats, and they sell them to local businesses, meat shops or fur coat shops, or, you know, bars or liquor stores or whatever. So they would get them and sell them at a discount price. So if the person, a small business owner, ran into a deal where they could get fajitas for cheap, I salute. I wouldn't want them to go to prison for that. You know, especially if they had nothing to do with it and they didn't ask no questions. Hey, it was just fajitas. Okay, next. Hi, Quest. 50 years is ridiculous. Yeah, we just covered that. 50 years is definitely ridiculous. Especially right now, I could run through like 20 cases where people only got 25 years, but those people was involved in home invasions or capital murder or, you know, strong arm robberies, rapes, and killings of innocent people, gangbangers shooting innocent bystanders, getting killed, and these people only getting 25 years. So, yeah, I think 50 years was a lot too as well. All right, next question. They didn't notice he was spending over 100K a year for an item that the facility doesn't serve? Yeah, we was talking about that, and that's kind of proud to me too. Once again, I think more heads need to roll, because where's the oversight at, man? If your employees out there stealing 100,000 a year, and you the accountant, and your job is to add up the numbers, okay, add up the invoices and things like that, and see where the money's actually going to. Once you see that we're paying $100,000 a year for something that the facility doesn't even give to the kids, as far as for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then that's something that we, you know, that's something that other people need to definitely be responsible for as well, even though it is on him. But as an employer, I'm definitely trying to fire other people just to see if others was involved, you know. And like we said, nobody noticed this in the kitchen. Nobody knows the pack of fajitas and say, hey, where these come from? We don't even sell us. So definitely, I think others was involved. This dude was smart, and he probably had a high position where he could do invoices and stuff, but nah, he ain't that smart where he could just solo do this and nobody know. I mean, either these workers are slow or they was in on it. Either way, somebody's getting fired. All right, next. He was a public service worker in a Texas jail. He should have known better. Yeah, definitely should have known better. That's ridiculous. You can't work in a jail system and you doing stuff like that. That's definitely not acceptable, and I don't promote anything like that at all. All right, you can't be working around the youth trying to get them to get their stuff in order. You know, that's like working in a rehab facility telling people drugs is bad, but next thing you know, you out there sneaking in drugs or sneaking out drugs, you know, methadone or something like that for your own habit. So it's like, yeah, you can't be in a position like that, especially a public service worker where you work for the public. You know, just like a cop, you got to hold those people responsible, because they have a higher position, all right, where they need to be held responsible for that. Okay, next. So where was he on the day of the delivery? Yeah, I had to ask that myself, and I'm sure everybody else was asking that. And I don't know if this was a new delivery driver that knew how things used to work, and that's why he called the facility first, because he was a new guy but knew that they've been delivering there for years, or what. So I'm also surprised that, and I think that because maybe he didn't have Escamillo's cell phone number, because if this been going smooth for 9 years, then that other delivery driver, he had to know Escamillo on a personal basis, all right, because he only dealt with him for 9 years. So why all of a sudden this year Well, all of a sudden this time around, he's giving a heads up to other employees. So maybe Escamilla wasn't there. Maybe Escamilla was on vacation. He didn't know that order came through as of yet. Okay, so maybe the guy's like, well, hold on. I'm sitting here with all these pounds of fajitas that need to be delivered. Escamilla's not picking up his phone. So let me call a facility. That way we could get these orders out and we could get paid for them. All right, so maybe the guy was either new or maybe he was the old guy that Escamilla was familiar with, but maybe Escamilla just wasn't available. And dude's boss was like, listen, hurry up and get these fajitas out. You know, so, and then maybe dude was like, well, let me just talk to anybody so we can hurry up and deliver that. So that's probably how that went down. So I don't know where Escamilla was at, or if they kind of knew something was going on, and this time they wanted to go around Escamilla and talk to other people first before delivering those. You know, but if the check was clearing, then I'm surprised they did. But if they knew something was going down, then I don't blame them for taking that extra steps. But that's kind of 9 years a little bit too late, right? Yeah, so, all right, last question. Why didn't he quit scamming after 8 years? LOL. Yeah, I know, LOL, right? That's the last thing and the most important thing. Greed, folks. Greed. I mean, this dude was getting it for 9 years, folks. Over 100,000 for 9 years. What, 110,000, 120,000 a year he was making on the side, or at least as far as from the orders. 120,000 a year. He's scamming for 9 years. When do you quit, folks? That's the people's downfall all the time when it comes to these scams and hustles. You just had in the news about Amazon. Some delivery drivers are scamming up to 10 million on fraudulent returns and then selling it themselves or whatever. And it's like, when do these people quit? They never say, okay, I'm gonna just make myself a quick little 250,000, pay off my house, and then I'm gonna leave the scam alone. Nah, they always get caught after they done got 5 million, 10 million, 2.5 million. Nah, and they plan on still going. And this dude was solo. So it's not like it was a team of 5 people and that 1.2 million, everybody only had 250,000 and they said, let's just do it a little bit longer till we got a 500,000 apiece. Nah, this was one dude that had the 1.2 mil for himself. So he should have quit. He should have quit after what? 500,000, 750,000. Okay, so definitely shout out to the delivery driver though for catching on to this, or for deciding to report this, because if not, who knows how much longer this dude would have been stealing from the funds that we need for the facility. That $100,000 a year, that 1.2 million could have went to make the facility better. We could have housed more juveniles maybe, or just made their conditions better. Maybe got them better Medicare, medical coverage in the facility while they're doing their time. So they could have got better medical treatment. Maybe they could have got more food in there. Maybe that money could have been used to hire 100,000. You could have hired 5 more employees at $20,000 a year for what he was stealing. I'm sure that facility could have used 5 more employees for the year. Okay, at $20,000 a pop. So, yeah, that's definitely crazy. He should have quit the scam very early on, because it was pretty selfish of him to realize that that money could have been used for something else, and he just kept scamming and scamming and scamming and scamming. Okay, so he deserved to get caught, and they all deserve to get caught, especially when they decide to do this for this many years. It's like, I mean, any normal person would be scared after the first scheme. Okay, but then they wind up getting 100, 200,000. Okay, now it's time to quit, because I could do this maybe for another 20 years, but now let me quit now before shit hits the fan and I'm doing 50 years. So anyway, that's our show for the day, folks. Please now make sure you hit that like button, share button, and subscribe button. And please remember that we already got plenty of videos uploaded. Plus we got more videos coming in on a daily basis. So please make sure you definitely check us out. Don't forget to hit the notification bell button as well, so you can get notified every time we bring up a video or when we start going live. Okay? So definitely, I want y'all people to stay safe out there. And if you're involved in any type of scams or anything, just quit it now, because the time in jail is not worth it, man. That time in prison is not worth it, and dude will tell you that himself. So definitely God bless y'all people. I want y'all to stay safe and be easy, folks. One.